Welcome to Messy Christian Mamas. We are three Christian moms with a progressive mindset and loving hearts and minds. We are imperfect humans, but we're all loved in God's sight. At some point, we've all felt like the church and Christianity may not have been for us, but God isn't looking for perfection. He's just looking for you.
We are not experts in Christian theology, and we do not represent any particular Christian faith or church. We are simply here to be authentic, and we hope you join us on this journey.
Hello, and welcome back to Messy Christian Mamas.
Finally.
Yay!
We're excited to be back. It was a good break, though.
It was.
I think we all needed it. It was a busy season.
Yes. And we hadn't taken a break since we started.
We hadn't. Yeah, it was our first break. And we are coming up on our year mark, aren't we?
Yeah, it'll be in March, I think.
Was it March? I felt we recorded in February, didn't we?
Yeah, but like our 52nd episode will be March 7th.
Look at that.
I know.
We're
That's
pretty
so
close.
crazy.
I know. What a journey it's been. Thank you guys for listening to us. We really appreciate you listening to us drone on and on for almost a year.
I thought we'd run out of things to say, but we haven't.
Shockingly.
There's lots of things to say.
Kaylee, I wasn't worried about.
Kaylee runs out of things to say that we need to be concerned.
So this is Kendra.
This is Kaylee.
And this is Ashley.
And Kendra and Ashley will sound a little bit different today
Oh my
because
God.
I'm a little stuffed up. This is Kendra.
Well,
as if you can tell.
also, Kendra and Ashley both have microphones on, and then we checked a third with Kaylee and then realized it was not necessary at all. So, Kaylee wants to get us mic list.
So this week's episode, it's the new year, obviously, and I think there are definitely things to be excited about, some mixed emotions as we head into the new year, as there always are. But today's episode is called Time to Thrive in 25. So ladies, let's talk about how we can set ourselves up for success in the new year. I thought we'd start with a quick conversation about resolutions. So I typically do not set resolutions because I find personally I never stick to them. And so I was looking up a little bit of data on this just to better understand resolutions. And so I looked up, do they work? And found this stat: while nearly half of Americans make New Year's resolutions, only about 25% of people actually stay committed to their resolutions after just 30 days, according to Columbia University. And even fewer, less than 10%, accomplish their goals, which I thought was a staggering number, right? I mean,
I think it checks out.
yeah, I think
it's also people are really unrealistic.
Yeah.
Well,
it's funny. I've kind of taken a different mindset about it. I'm going to set these resolutions, but I'm not expecting to keep up with them for the entire year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. My intention is to do it for a while and to maybe set a couple of good habits. But if I don't keep up with it for the year, it's okay.
I think that's really good.
Yeah.
That's healthy.
Yeah.
I think when people are I'm going to join it. I think it's when they put all the pressure on January. They're
Right.
Start a diet. I'm going to join a gym. Where we're still in the bleak midwinter. That's where we
Right.
still are. So,
Right.
and it's still dark outside. It's still cold. It's hard to get motivated.
I'm not going to eat
healthy.
sugar.
Yeah,
I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to all of the
Right.
things happen in January.
It's cold and dark outside. You don't want to go running when
Everyone's
it's cold
broke.
and dark.
Right. From Christmas, right?
Everyone's depressed. It's hard to get on a treadmill when you're feeling that way.
So I was looking up, after I looked that up, I was like, okay, why don't they work? So I was looking around the internet at a variety of different things, and I found this really fascinating article on sarabest.com, S-A-R-A Best, B-E-S-T.com, about this topic. So first, she says they don't work because resolutions depend upon willpower. And I thought this was interesting. Willpower is a poor fuel source because it ebbs and flows and is a bank that is debited by a variety of your decisions all day long. So you have great intentions at the beginning of the day when your willpower bank account is full. And she says you use willpower to not scream at your boss, or not rear end the driver that just cut you off, or to not order the donut when you get your coffee. So essentially, relying on willpower is relying on a fuel source that is not dependable.
She sounds really angry.
So much aggression, Sarah Best.
Cut off sugar. No, I definitely get the willpower thing though, because when you wake up, you are like, it's going to be a great day, and then at the end of the day, you're like, well, I survived it, like,
right?
You know,
yeah. Well, also most of us are on a break from work right now, so when you're setting these resolutions, it's like it's at a time when you're not in your routine and you're not really tired, and you get back in that routine. It just kind of takes over.
Yeah, convenience and ease take over, right? Yeah. So second, she says that resolutions depend on deprivation, and that's a losing battle because all animals' brains, humans included, are hardwired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So you can do it for a little while, but eventually you will lose the battle. She says the only way to get your brain on side with healthy changes long-term is to rewire the old thought patterns and present the healthy choices as a form of reward. And it sounds like that's a whole process that I didn't really get into what's involved there.
I like that though. Yeah. And like behavior and like thoughts and how they drive behavior and beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's like a triangle.
Behavior therapy, that's rehab there.
And I'm not qualified to really engage us in that conversation.
That I can give you guys in order to learn how to do that. No worries. Both steps you guys can follow.
But she says there's still hope that you can still make long-term behavioral changes in your life. And so she suggests the 3 S's for successful behavior change. And she says this is a very simplified version of the approach to making long-term behavior changes. But this is a podcast, so that's what everyone's here for, right? Something digestible.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. So the first S is be specific. We're typically pretty vague about our resolutions. I'm going to eat less sugar, or I'm going to work out more, or I'm going to resist carbs, which I thought was a really weird phrase she had in her article. Resist carbs.
Like they're attacking you. They are. Get away from me.
That bakery section of the public is like a free war zone.
What does that mean?
Resist.
Like you have to walk
They're
through
assaulting
it.
you.
Like at Fresh Market, you gotta walk through that bakery section in order to get to the healthy food, and you're like, well, I mean,
I gotta run through it.
Yeah. And the cake's just sitting there like, you know, you want me, and you're like,
You do. You know that I do.
Exact.
So a key example that she lists is, I'm not going to eat sugar. Okay, but how do you define sugar? It's a very complicated question these days. Again, what will you eat and what will you not eat? What will be acceptable? Will you never eat sugar? Will you sometimes eat sugar? So maybe you're not going to add processed white sugar to your food or eat foods that have sugar in the list of ingredients, but maybe things like fruit you're going to eat. I don't want to get into the whole sugar debate here, she says. I just want to offer you an example about being specific. Another really good example she had was, if you want to exercise, don't just say you're going to exercise more. What are you going to do? And I mean, be super specific. Don't just say, I'm going to exercise 5 days a week. That's still very vague. Which 5 days? What time of day? What kind of exercise will you do? For how long will you do it? Where will you do it? How will you get there? Be specific.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have a story about this real quick. So I did sign up for a gym membership 2 days ago, and they call you and they want to set up this like goal setting meeting. And so they called me a couple of times, and like the third time I answered, and he was like, we need to set up your goal setting meeting and check your body fat percentage and all, and what you need to do. And I was just like, do I have to? He was like, no, you don't have to. I was like, great. My goal is to go to classes. Thank you.
Right.
Right. Actually, he sounded pretty excited. He was like, great. Okay, well.
Well, yeah, that's like, well, because he, oh gosh, these poor trainers in this next month, like they all these people coming in gung ho.
That's their Christmas season, right?
Like they're ready to go, and so they get all these appointments in January, and then February they start to ebb off, and March they start to ebb off. So you just know he's like, okay, you were at least honest from the beginning.
But then they're back in business.
And, and then it's like, it's like beach body, and I'm like, well, get whatever body it gets.
So where was I? So you need to be super specific. Where will you do it? How will you get there? Be specific. You need to have a specific plan, she says, because otherwise what you're doing is relying on willpower, which we already heard. You're relying on hoping you make a good choice of what what time to go to the gym, but if you make a specific plan, something like at 6:00 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to put on these specific clothes. I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to drive to the gym. I'm going to go on the treadmill for 30 minutes at 7.5 miles per hour, and then I'm going to drive home. That is a specific plan. You're still going to need a little willpower to get yourself going, but for the most part, you can just execute the plan. Far less willpower is required.
She
That is
sounds like
so
a woman who
specific.
doesn't have like distractions.
Yeah, it also sounds a little OCD to me.
At 7.5 miles per hour.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can tend that way. I turn my ADD into OCD, and then I go a little too far. I'm like, okay, I need to like stop planning everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, you want to be at the gym at 7 a.m. 3 days a week, dude. I'm like, you can't plan that as a mom. Like you'd be like, I hope I can get to the gym 3 days this week because my kid's gonna be in school and nothing's gonna happen. But like, I mean, this stuff always comes up. So it's
Just
not
like
beating
I'm going to
yourself
put
up
on
about it.
these specific clothes, and I'm going to. I don't know. That seems like
No, I do that
too
now. I
much
do that
planning,
with
maybe?
I do that with my kid. I make my kid plan like on Sunday nights. She picks out her entire outfits for the entire week,
Yeah.
and they are put out so that there are no surprises.
Oh wow.
When we walk out the door. She can
That's
switch
good.
the outfits around because they've all been pre-approved.
Yeah.
So if we
You
had
just have
something
to know
out for
your
Monday
kid.
and she decided she wanted to wear the Thursdays, and she picks them out, and I just go behind her and say, "No, you change them." But yeah, I make her set out the entire week because I'm so tired of having that argument in the
It's really good idea.
morning.
This sounds kind of law of attraction to me. If you guys have followed law of attraction at all, it's kind of
Yep.
woo. One of my resolutions is a little bit like this, but it does encourage visualizing specifically what you want and your specific goals.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's all great if you can really execute on that level of specificity. I feel like sometimes when I get that hyper specific, I'm setting myself up for failure.
Yeah, and then you get discouraged.
Right? Because then
Right.
if I'm not at 7, like on my Peloton when I'm working out, I have stopped I've stopped looking at my own leaderboard because they have you not only competing against anybody else who's taken that same class, but also against yourself and any other time you've taken the class. And I find myself getting so down on myself if I'm not getting a PR, personal record, against myself. And so I don't know. I just
Interesting.
think, like, if you're being so specific, so, I don't know, for me anyway. But I do think specificity is really important at the same time. So that's not to say that I think it's not. So the next S, the second S, is think small. And that's how you start building new, healthier habits. You create small wins for yourself. You do it in a way that sets you up for success, and then you build.
It definitely makes sense. It's sort of like learning music.
Absolutely.
So you want to start with small bits, and you see that progress, and it motivates you even more to progress more.
Yeah, I really like that one. I think Think Small is a really...
Well, they have that app, that Couch to 5K, and like that's because you hear people all the time. I'm like, I'm going to run a marathon, I'm going to 5K, and I'm like, you haven't walked in like 20 years. So I really like that app. I've never done it to completion. Like I've never ran a 5K, but I've done it because it is very motivational and it does chunk it in like really easy to eat bites and everything. So yeah, so
That's
I
cool.
definitely get the
I think it's smart.
baby step.
I try to tell myself with working out, if I really am resistant to it, that like 10 minutes is better than no minutes, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. So the third S, be smart. Now this one feels really redundant to me as we get into it, ladies. If you're nailing steps 1 and 2, it seems super redundant, but let's go ahead and talk about it. So she says this step is about working with your brain instead of against it. She says that old part of your brain, that prehistoric reptilian part of your brain, the limbic system, is really driving most of your behaviors.
Ooh, which is hard to do. I'm listening to The Body Keeps the Score right now. It is tough to get through it. It is so hard, but yeah.
It's something I really wish I had, like, I wish I had done like the therapy that they suggest that you do when you're getting like bariatric surgery before I started taking the weight loss medication, because I lost so much weight so quickly on that medication that I didn't have time to develop healthy habits. So, but I was losing weight. No matter what I did, I was losing weight. So when I got off the medication, I had no I had no precedent. Like I had no precedent of what it was like to be that size person. I had been this other size person for so long. So I didn't have time to establish these really healthy habits. So I just went into like old habits and was like, well, they're not as extreme because obviously like I don't want to gain back all this weight. And I ended up gaining like more than half of it back because my body just was like, well, this is what we know.
Right.
Like that year was a freak. Like that was just like a freak occurrence. We don't know what was going on that year. You put stuff into us. It was making us work correctly. We don't like it. And so now we want to work incorrectly again. I gained back half the weight.
Comfortably. What's comfortable.
Yeah. And I was like, so I gained back half the weight. And for like 5 months, I've been at this weight. And it's just because I feel like that's where my body is comfortable and that's where it wants to be.
Okay, so with all of that in mind, let's talk about what we are going to be leaving on the floor in 24. What do you want to stop doing that you were doing in 2024?
So one of my resolutions is to stop screen time first thing in the morning. Like I don't want to wake up and just immediately turn on my phone and start scrolling social media. So instead, this is my law of attraction one. Instead, I want to visualize and pray about how I want my day to go, especially in regards to caring for my students and for my own children.
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Kaylee? Anything you want to stop doing in 2025? Okay, so Kaylee needs a minute. So I'll talk about mine. Something that I wasn't doing in 2020, or something that I'm going to stop doing this year, is not making plans. So last year was such a year of surrender for me, surrendering to God. And it was really important for me to stop making my plans so that I could leave myself open to what his plans would be, because I'm such a planner and I will get really, really specific about my plans. And I think I needed to stop that for a minute so that I could just have a big reset, honestly, which I did. His plan achieved, and let his plans unfold for me. So I have a pretty good idea of what those plans are now. And I feel like going into 2025, I can now feel more free to start making plans again, which feels like a much more comfortable position for me to be in.
You're sharing the day book.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sharing the file of facts.
Yeah.
I think with mine, like my overall kind of for this year was to stop just showing up and actually to be present while I'm there. Like I'm really good at saying yes. I'm really good about showing up, but it's really hard for me to be present the entire time I'm doing something.
Sure.
One, with ADHD, and two, because I overbook myself. So I'll be constantly thinking of like, what is the next thing that I have to do? And I've missed out so much because like both my sister's weddings come to mind because I was so concerned about getting my speech right that I kind of missed their entire wedding. Like for
speeches are nerve-wracking.
So I was like, it was one of these things where I was like,
I got one coming up.
That's like 45 seconds of my life that like, and I wasted like 2 hours of their wedding. Like,
yeah.
So to me, like, that's what I'm leaving in 2024 is like, don't say yes to something if I know I can't be physically present and like mentally present there for it. So, and that goes for work and for when I'm, parenting my kid, when I'm with my kid or when I'm with my family or I'm here at church or I'm out with friends, like, or if I'm just by myself, like being, like really trying to train myself to be in the moment and stay.
It's going to be a discipline
space.
for you to learn how to say no.
I know. Right?
I saw a funny TikTok about that. I'm on TikTok.
Welcome.
That's name for the new year, I guess. But it was this lady who's doing like martial arts, and she was like, "No, thank you. No, thank you."
Well, I think I helped myself because I told Charlotte she wasn't allowed to sign up for anything else. That especially included my assistance, which everything needs my assistance because she's
sure does
in elementary school. So like everything needs my permission or my attendance in some way, shape, or form. So I have told her that she's not allowed to sign up for anything else unless we like sit down and we really discuss it as a family and make sure that it's something that we can both, achieve. It's one thing for her to go and show up, but like I need to be able to show up for it as well. So yeah.
It's good.
Cool.
So what do you want to keep doing that you started doing last year?
Nothing. Just kidding.
I think like just staying involved in the church.
Yeah.
I really like going to the Open Door Bible study.
Yeah, I love that too.
And keep that. I'd like to do more like musically with the church. Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
Right.
Right. Just waiting there with the web.
Right.
I think like mine's along the same line. Like I started this year, and I kind of got this like I doing the podcast really helped this of like really wanting to dig in to a spiritual life, like having a spiritual discipline, and and reading the Bible, everything. It was one of these things where like the entire year I was like, oh, that'd be great. That sounds amazing. I'm not going to, but this is so great. I started the year of the Bible in a year like 5 times. So this year it's going to be like,
Maybe you start in the middle.
I know. So it's like, just do New Testament. Let's start with New Testament. That's what's
Right.
So
For
like
real.
that's something that I definitely want to bring over from 2024 is just like this curiosity that I have and this passion I have. I love preparing for these episodes. I love, when we record and I love listening back because
Me too.
I love listening back to them because especially some of our older ones, because it'll just get me thinking and be like, oh yeah, I did want to look that up or I did want to research that. And so I have so many random like favorited things on my work laptop. It's ridiculous. My boss ever comes into my work laptop, he's gonna be like, what are all these? Like, don't ask.
But I definitely want to keep doing the podcast.
Oh, yeah,
This
for
has been like
sure.
such a blessing to my life, and probably for you guys too.
Absolutely.
100%.
But I think it's helped me gain confidence in voicing my opinions and my thoughts, which I'm usually pretty quiet about. And I was just talking about this speech that's coming up in January. I'm doing this big like national webinar, and I'm just freaking out about it because I have to talk for an hour.
Oh my gosh,
Which, like-
you're going to be awesome.
Thank you. But I'm usually still, I like to be quiet, but as I'm preparing for it, I'm like, okay, like what would I do on podcast? Or just relax and just talk about whatever I think about this.
Well, you're so
But-
thoughtful about what you say. I feel like everything that you say is of substance. And so
Thank you.
It'll be
News we
really
can
good.
use.
Yeah. And you definitely have like, and things that you are passionate about, you definitely have a lot to say about. So,
Yeah.
with this webinar being on something that you're extremely passionate about and you hold so dear to you.
Which I think is why I'm freaking out about it so much too. I'm also
Sure.
sort of encapsulating like my whole teaching career and like my philosophy of life like into this webinar. But yeah.
it's really good. I can't wait to hear how it goes. It'll be great. Mine is also the same thing that you ladies have said too about my discipline of Christianity, my Bible study, my prayers. I definitely want to keep doing that. So now let's talk a little bit about resolutions. So what do you want? How do you want to thrive in 25? Making a plan, being specific, thinking small. Any thoughts? You mentioned that you have a gym membership, so you're approaching that in a very realistic way.
Yeah, and I actually I've been wanting a gym membership for a very long time. It's one of the first things I let go when I started the divorce process because I just couldn't afford the expense of it.
Yeah.
But I've missed it. It's been about 3 years now, and basically, like I've just been walking and doing like home exercises when I wasn't going to the gym, but when it gets really cold outside, I'm not walking. And just especially this past like month and a half, I became so sedentary. And in my job too, I know I'm teaching tech, I sit a lot more than I used to with elementary music. I was just like, man, I miss being active. Like I really want to just go move. So yeah, that one was a long time coming.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Where did you sign up?
One Life.
Whatever.
Well, I
You
love...
could have done Fitness 54 with me and Barb Varney and done water aerobics with us. And it would have been so much
man. Well, I love Zumba class with Magic Mike over there. That they call him. But he only teaches class on Monday morning, so I can go like 2 times a year. But anyway, it's a really good class.
Does he record it?
I don't think so.
I want to say,
But I think-
sometimes they'll record them, and that way you can do them at home.
But I think One Life also has other classes that are similar to that I like big classes that have a lot of energy and a lot of people. Like that's what I'm kind of looking for.
I like big classes too, so I can be in the back. I
Yeah, I think that's it. I can just like blend in.
Hippopotamus from what's that movie? The Mickey Mouse movie?
Fantasia.
Fantasia. But I look like the dancing hippopotamus.
The pink hippopotamus.
Exactly. With
Oh
the
man.
full garb. I actually dressed up as that one Halloween. I don't think I have any pictures of it. But dressed up as that.
We also was a dancing hippo for
I did see
the Christmas show. It was
That
fantastic.
was cute.
hilarious.
I have a few.
Okay, go ahead.
So I just recently watched this great documentary about Jimmy Carter, who just passed away. We should do an episode about that. But I really love how Jimmy Carter lived his life, and like I want to live a life like Jimmy Carter. And in the documentary, this person was talking about what he was going to say at his eulogy. He said, "I'm so busy serving Jesus, ain't got time to die." And I was like, that's how I want to live my life. So with that in mind, some other things I have. So I've already talked about no screen time, going to the gym. I want to volunteer my time this year. So specifically with the handyman work days of the church, I want to volunteer at Habitat for Humanity, at least maybe like 1 or 2 times, at least. And if I like it, like keep doing that more. I want to feed my inspiration. So I have a little bit of a hobby that, and like a guilty pleasure of buying interior decorating, like magazines that are super expensive, and just looking at like pretty rooms and stuff. So I want to seek out images. I want to like buy magazines again and look on TikToks about those, and then seek out opportunities to decorate, because it's something that I've just sort of dabbled in and I like it, but I don't give myself that. Like I focus on trying to help other people a lot more. That's something I could give to me.
You're so good at it too.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, that automatically gives to the other person as well.
Yeah. And I had this like crazy idea to one day I want to maybe have a business of decorating spaces for people who leave abusive relationships. Because a lot of times they have to go to a space that is a lot less desirable than where they were in the first place. Low income housing. And I would like to somehow maybe do grants or something to do interior decorating for people.
Oh, I love that.
I was thinking maybe a project for our church, maybe for the open door Sunday school class, is maybe food boxes, like little libraries, but food like libraries around Fayette County. Someone just recently posted on Facebook a couple times. And it was a mom that didn't have food and didn't have food for her kids, and the food banks were closed. And
We do have one. We do have a food closet that's open. It's somewhere in Fayetteville. I can't remember where it is though.
Have you seen
if we
the
can make
food
more.
fridges? The community food fridges?
Mm-mm.
I would love for us to do that at some point. I mean, it'd be the
Yeah.
cost of like keeping the power to the refrigerator going, but
Right.
it's such a great idea. Anybody can come in and put things inside the fridge. I don't know. I just love that.
And the ones they have in Atlanta for the food boxes, they're just like non-perishable items,
Sure.
like beans and macaroni and cheese and stuff like that. But I was just wondering, I was like, I'm sure we could do this, like maybe 3 or 4 of those and just have.
But you see people like on the Buy Nothing group, and you'll see it on like the community groups where people will be like, I just did it with my office. Like, I'm clearing out my office, and people do it all the time where they rearrange the pantries. Everyone's gonna be reorganizing them next month anyway. And they're just like, I have an entire bag of non-expired food, but we're never gonna eat. I don't know who I bought this for.
Right.
And like, yeah, just drop it, because sometimes the donations are so small that you feel like you can't go to a food pantry.
So one more thing for my resolutions. Last year, we picked out words from our open door Bible study, and my word was for comfort, because I was coming from a place that I was just not comfortable at all, and I needed to feel safe, just living life. So my word was comfort. And this year, my word is bravery, and I don't really know why. It just keeps coming into my mind about bravery. And maybe because of the webinar coming up.
It's the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Here in your intestines being like, this is why you need to
Right.
brain.
Now you feel like you have that safety and security as like a foundation. So
True.
you're able to be brave.
True.
Your house
Bolder.
is very comfy.
Thank you.
I can't wait to go sit on the couch with the new print.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Thank you.
Ashley has this beautiful sectional couch in her house, and it's huge and it's very comfy. It's definitely a pull your feet up with a cup of tea couch. And she had this beautiful was it oranges or
They're like lemons?
Yeah, these massive lemons. It was this big bold print. And when you meet Ashley, you don't think big bold print. And then you walk into her house and it's just, and then you're just like, no, this definitely fits her. But she's just changed. You just change it to this beautiful, like tropical, like it's like brown and blue.
Yeah, I made it darker so it wouldn't show so much dirt because it was white. And I have four young kids, and I had a white couch.
That was bravery.
And I do love white furniture someday.
One day.
Like all white furniture again.
None of your children are anywhere near your home.
Right.
You have one room that's under like keypad that you have to like.
That's funny. And Kaylee, you don't remember what your word was from last year?
I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it was written down somewhere. I remembered, maybe it was focus, because I remember George making fun of me for it. I think it was focus, because we were talking about my ADHD. I had to do work last year, so we were talking about me being more present this year, so I'll just roll that word over to this year.
Mine was harvest last year, and it did not feel like harvest last year at all. It did not feel like I was in a year of harvest. But I think I was. My life went through this whole big reset, and harvest just looked a lot different for me last year than it had in the past. So I think I did have a big harvest. It just took a while to realize it.
Yeah. New Kendra.
New and improved, hopefully.
But you have to feel that way.
I feel lighter.
I'm going to say, if you look at how your life was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, of just the heaviness.
Oh, yeah.
That was there. Like, you have to feel that all this work that you've been doing, because I know it's easy for outsiders to be like, look how it's paid off, but like someone who's going through it's very different for them. So.
Oh yeah, it was funny. We have devotions in our staff meeting every week, and our devotion a few weeks ago, Pastor Carla did, our interim associate pastor, who's now no longer our interim associate pastor. We'll hopefully see her on the podcast soon. And her devotion was about fear and joy, and when do we find ourselves afraid, and what do we do in those moments. And I realized that for the first time in my entire life, I don't find myself experiencing that feeling. And I went through a lot of, excuse me, Ashley, shit last year, and it was stuff that if I had gone through in the past, and I lost a job in late in 2019, and I had incredible fear after that moment, but I just didn't feel fear in the same way. And I really credit that to my Christian discipline, to being in my Bible, to praying, to really being focused on surrendering to God. And it was, I don't know, I just kind of realized in that moment as we were talking about it, I was like, I experienced fear in quite some time.
I think the major difference too, especially as an outsider looking on both of y'all's situations, is that just the remarkable difference in community for both of you within the last couple of years, and I'll, myself included, but like, I just look at the way that I really feel like there is a reason why the three of us were brought to this church at a certain time with certain people that were already coming, like were already here, and then people who came in after us. Yeah. I really do feel like it was kind of this kind of battleship, like there's not like this risk for it. Like he was like, I really want to build up this one area. Like these women really need community. They really need people that they're going to be able to fall in front of, and they're not going to be pointed at and laughed at, or they're not going to be held up with someone still snickering at them. Yeah. Like these women are going to get into the dirt with them. So I think that's a major difference for all of us, is that we have so much more community now than we did 2-3 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So grateful for you two and for our larger church community and some special people within it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Shelley Jakubowski.
Yes.
Love her.
The hostess with the most.
Robbie
Robin
and
Shirley.
Shirley.
Yeah.
The big auntie energy.
Absolutely. Just so many wonderful, beautiful people.
I know.
Yes.
Gosh, I mean, we could do a whole like credit reel. It would take up an entire podcast
really
of every single person that has made an impact on us in just the last year alone.
Absolutely agree with you. So some of my resolutions, let's see, I want to be more present. So I need to identify a time each day that I focus on my daughter, remove all the distractions, which will be a challenge, but I've got to do it.
Planning on doing something with her.
Wondering that too.
I think it's probably going to be a combination of those things because she doesn't want to sit down and talk to me.
Or like board games.
So
Yeah.
we'll have to.
Well, I don't know if board games would work.
With there's a competitive.
I'm thinking about me and my child. That would not work. What if us would be out
together
on the
Right.
porch cooling down?
I love playing board games with the kids, especially like individually, but the whole time, like it's me and JJ or me and
she
Sophie.
loves games too. I have a board game problem.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna choose a show to watch together.
Okay.
Like, because we are to the point right now where we are very irritated with each other because we're just in that preteen mom moment, and she's also been off of school for a while, so we're at that point where like I can't say anything to her and she can't say anything to me without us being like, yeah! Like,
Yeah.
if we record it back and play it back, we're like, no, it did not come out that way at all. So I think what's best for us is a show that we don't have to talk to each other during, and then like afterwards, like maybe like have a 5-minute discussion about it. What
What we love watching together is the new Queer Eye. There's a new season out.
Oh.
Watch a couple of episodes.
It's so good. We watched.
I'm gonna have to watch
season
it.
already.
I watched
So good.
the first episode of this newest
Which
season
one was
of
it?
Showgirl.
Oh yeah,
I've never been more jealous of a 64-year-old woman
right.
in my entire life. She is who I want to be when I grow up. Like I was
Nice.
watching this episode, I was like,
I can kind of see
if I
that.
could have the confidence. I also didn't know that Dita Von Teese was 52 years old.
Yeah, I know. I was like, damn girl.
I was like, okay,
52.
Dita, swimming around in your
Yeah.
champagne glass. Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
I can barely wear shorts
I know,
without
she
being
looks good.
like
She looks
a
good.
hot mess.
But yeah, so we watched that one. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
We had a lot to talk about.
We
with that.
started watching The Chosen again because we trailed off from it. So we started watching it again when we were just house sitting. We watched a few episodes together, and it was nice because it was nice for her to then turn, because I've been her Sunday school teacher for so long. It was nice for her to be able to turn around and feel like, oh, we talked about that during Sunday school. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so glad you paid attention. Awesome.
That's cool. I like that idea. So yeah, I do think it'll probably most of the time be us doing things together.
structured
She will
activity.
talk to me sometimes. She will have conversations with me. She wants to talk to me about stuff sometimes. But if I go to her to try to have a conversation with her, she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know how that is. Tough age.
Yes.
But yeah, I definitely want to do that with some intentionality, really getting in the moment with her this year. And then there's just so many other big things now that, as I talked about, I can make all these plans now for things that are happening in my life. And with her transitioning into middle school, I've got to set up the middle school tours to go look at them. I had planned to do it in December, which was the dumbest thing that I could have considered. It was just my first year really working for a church. There was no time whatsoever. But in January, I've got to make that happen and then have a call with a woman that represents the candidacy team at the synod, so I can get the ball rolling on seminary too. So excited that there's a lot of stuff happening and that I feel like I can really put one foot in front of the other and make happen this year. So what about you?
I have chunky resolutions. So they're like, I've chunked them down to where they're feasible. So the first one I have is for mental health is to read 40 books that are good for my mental health, which I could read like 100 books that are not good for my mental health.
All right.
Very easily.
Yeah.
But I did stipulate a little resolution that's like good for mental health. So there'll still be some romances on there. They just won't be like smutty romances.
When you guys wanted to do that episode about reading a book, I was like, seriously, it's like the Bible is the
I
opposite.
feel like I just haven't read a book.
Well, the thing is that, like, I think it's been so so long. I've been on this cozy mystery kick for like a year now. So all I've been reading is these cozy mysteries, like if there is anything rated R that happens, it's written in a very like PG way. Like it's like, and then they went to bed, and that's it. Like it's just like moving on from the conversation. So I picked up a book the other day. It was on my Kindle like TBR list, and I started reading it, and it like from the gate
Real
was
spicy.
like, whew. I'm like from the gate, I was like, I can't read this. Like I'm in public, like I can't be reading this on my phone. Like, oh my god! Like immediately, like went to like a crochet book instead. I was like, I need a palette cleanser. Like, that was too much to seal at one time. So I do have a goal of reading 40 books, which is a lot to some people. To me, it's not, because I speed read. And I had mentioned earlier, Anna Walker, who's a friend of the podcast, read 101 books. So I'm trying to read 40. I'll probably end up reading more than that. I read more than that last year. But like with the stipulation of them being mentally healthy.
Okay.
I am going to include audiobooks into that because I've started listening to a lot more audiobooks at work. Yeah. So because I can't leave.
I know it's a big debate. It's a big debate.
I know it's a big debate.
I think it still counts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it counts.
I have to pay attention because like I notice if I'm typing something or if I am doing something that takes my attention away, I'll miss an entire chunk of the audiobook. So I'm like, your brain still has to process it the same way as when you're reading. So I tend to listen to them if I'm just doing like mundane work or I'm crocheting and stuff.
Do you do Audible?
No, I have Spotify Premium.
Oh, okay.
So nice.
I have which is nice. So I get my music and my podcasts and my books, and it's like $11 a month. So I get all of them all in one place. Which
Not sponsored.
Not sponsors. If they want to, though, we will take you.
We are available on Spotify.
We are available on Spotify. Not premium content, but we're there.
Right.
So another one is to get at least 30 minutes of physical activity in every day. So I have a very sedentary lifestyle, and one of the big issues of gaining back all of that weight has been because I have not been active. And so my health insurance just was let up, and my gym was being paid through my health insurance. And I won't have health insurance for next year because it's just way too expensive. So I renewed my gym membership instead. And now that I'm having to pay full price for my gym membership, I'll actually go. Because before I could justify it, like, oh, this is part of insurance. I don't have to really use that. And now I'm like, oh, you're paying $35 a month for this. Like, you need to go get yourself into your water aerobics classes with all my friends.
I love water aerobics.
I love water aerobics, and we have quite a few ladies here at the church that are in that class, and they are a hoot and a half. And they blow me out of the water. I'm exhausted after one class. There's like another class going, and they're like, "Are you gonna stand?" I'm like, "No, that's crazy. I'm about to drown." And then the last one is kind of closing my net on relationships. So that's not putting myself out there anymore for any type of relationship. Doesn't mean if I meet someone new that I immediately be like, "I'm sorry, my friend list is full. Like, we cannot be friends." So means I'm not putting myself out there. A couple of times last year, I put myself on the apps, and I got entangled in some entanglements, into some situationships, and I have realized that I'm not healed enough for that. Yeah. So like, I realized towards the end of the year, like, I needed to start going back to meetings again. I needed to really watch what I was doing because I was making decisions that I knew would haunt me. Like, for example, I'm sure you guys have all dealt with this. We've all dated in the past. We all have people that we look back on and we're like, what the hell were we thinking? Yep. So, but have you ever had a situation where you were embarrassed? Like, you've kept the relationship a secret because you were too embarrassed to ever be caught with that person. No. So you kept like someone a secret. Like, you never had like a secret. Like, I had them all the time in college. Like people that either like that I knew my friends wouldn't like, or like wasn't like my type. It wasn't my typical type. You know that. So I used to do it a lot in college.
I'm a serial monogamist. So
I am too.
So, yeah. You know, I'm not. So like this past year, like I was in this situationship where I was like, I God, I don't want anyone to know that like I'm with this person. Like this is like, she's so far opposite like of what my type is, and like a healthy like relationship. Okay. So was keeping it secret, and I was being kept a secret like by this guy as well. And then he found out that he was like my secret, like my like guilty pleasure, like my little embarrassment, and like flipped the table, like went off. And I was like, but I'm yours. Like, how do you get to be mad about this? And it was like in the middle of this fight when I was like, we were literally arguing over who is more embarrassed to be seen with each other. I was like, this is not good. Like, this is not,
That doesn't feel
this
healthy.
is not healed. Like, this is not great. Like, this is not a great situation. And if I was in a meeting listening to someone tell me the story, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like you need some help. Like you need, like, this is not good for you. And so it was literally like my old therapist kind of like on one shoulder and the Holy Spirit with her on that same shoulder. They were together and were hanging out. They were besties. And they were just being like, this is stupid. Like you need to get out of this right now. And you need to then like close yourself off. You've been too open too long. So where I was like trying so hard to build community and build a tribe. And so I was just letting people in that story. And I feel like I kind of got to a point where I was oversharing my story. Like so many people knew my story and were sharing my story to other people just through other like ministries that I was getting involved in and other groups from outside the church I was getting involved in. And so, and then when I was meeting new guys, I was having to then share that part of myself. And I realized that I was sharing so much of myself that I wasn't really like, for the people that mattered, I wasn't really able to give them me. Like I wasn't really able to show 100% up for those people, because I was like, oh, well, I'm like now in this group, so I need to show up for these people. And I'm just like, I've started dating this person, I need to show up for this person. And I like all the people that were really important to me, like my family, my close, my circle, I feel like just weren't getting 100%. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I need to start closing the nets. I need to start pruning again, like start to really do a hard prune on some major areas of my life, and then some soft pruning on other areas of my life, and just kind of close the gates a little, just so that I can make sure that I'm showing up for the people who have shown up for me. And I think that's where I was starting to feel a little unbalanced last year. Like I feel like a lot of people were showing up for me and were being present for me and showing up for them, but I wasn't actually being present for them. So that's where my kind of big resolution is this year. It kind of goes along with being present, but it's to really kind of limit myself from people.
Yeah.
So it's a big one.
That sounds like a big deal.
It does.
Yeah. Well, it also includes going to meetings. So like,
yeah.
But I've never liked putting meetings in my resolutions, because I feel like that's a slippery slope. Like I feel like anybody who has an addiction problem, when they turn around and they say, and they try to make it into like this goal, like obviously recovery is a goal, and being in remission is a goal, but you're never fully cured. And so I think when people put in their January resolutions, like, oh, I'm going to go to 3 meetings a week, and I'm not going to touch alcohol this year, or I'm not going to touch pot this year, whatever your anonymous is, I feel like you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. Like I think you put too much on yourself. So I get the being specific thing, but like if you're a recovering addict, like be kind to yourself and be a little bit more realistic. Like your gut will tell you when you need to go to more meetings.
I always think about, what's that Tom Hanks movie with the guy that like lashes himself on the back? The Da Vinci Code. Yeah. You remember that? I always think about that. I'm thinking about like how mean I'm being to myself.
Oh, right.
With my own expectations and my own disappointment in myself. And how important it is to be gentle to ourselves, because like what that guy's doing to his back, like we're doing to ourselves inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always like, I've seen it before where people, like we talked about shame before, where people use like recovery as a shame tool. Be like, well, you've only went to 1 meeting this week. shouldn't you have gone to like 3? And I'm like, whoa, like you're not their sponsor. Like you're only allowed to ask those questions if you're their sponsor. You kind of know what's going on, or they're like psychiatrists.
That's bold.
It's
really good at your business.
Man, you know these things. I am glad that I'm going to the meetings I'm going to now because of the addiction that I have. Mine are 100% anonymous. Like I've gone to AA before and I've gone to NA before, and like they're anonymous in the fact that like when you leave there, the chances of you crossing paths with those people is low, but like you're in a physical space with people, so you physically see them. So It's not really anonymous because you can look into that person and you're saying your name. So you know that you now have a connection to that person. So the type of addiction that I have, I go to teleconferencing meetings that are on the phone. So you do not see these people. You know their
so
names.
It's not like Zoom.
No, it's not Zoom.
Okay.
It's a teleconference. It's Zoom. Like it is Zoom, but like all the cameras are off.
Okay.
So you can do it on your laptop, you can do it on your phone, either one. So you don't see anyone. So it truly is anonymous. You can make up a name. I use my name because I'm not a great liar. So I couldn't keep up with like, if I was like Jennifer in one meeting, like Isabella in another, I'd be like, what's this point? I'm not a spy. Like I'm just Kaylee and all of them.
Yeah.
So, but it does help, like staying truly anonymous is like very, very healthy, I feel, for like, especially for the addiction that I have. So there are times where I'm like, oh, I need to go to a couple of extra meetings this week because I just need to hear other people's perspectives. I don't share, I know it's shocking to people, I don't really share that much when I go to these meetings. If I'm asked to, I will, but I don't really share. I get more by hearing other people's perspectives and situations and being able to kind of like compare my situation.
I get that.
To it. So it's interesting.
So we've got a lot to look forward to this year.
We do.
I'm actually like, I know people are nervous about this year. I get it. I 100% get it. However, I am just a firm believer in being optimistic. And if your core is positive, then you can face a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I found, to close us out with, I found this scripture that's I used this in an art piece that I did for my anniversary present for Brad. It speaks so well to what we're talking about. I think it's, I really like it. So it's from Habakkuk 2:2. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and engrave it plainly on tablets so that the one who reads it will run. So I think that's our third S. Scribe it, write it down, and if you put your vision down, then you can run. Right?
I got it written down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my pretty little journal.
So what we can do, I guess we can write all of ours down, take pictures of it, we'll post it, and that way people can write theirs down and maybe post it as well as an accountability collage board.
So let's say closing prayer. Who wants to do it?
Kenders on you.
Okay. The Lord be with you.
And
Also with you.
Father, please help us to be open to the plans that you have for us. Help us when we put our plans into action to do them through you, to keep our eyes focused on you, our hearts focused on you, knowing that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Please be with us in 2025 and help us to achieve those goals and to be on that path of purpose that you have in mind for us, Lord. In your holy name, in the holy name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Messy Christian Mamas. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, embrace the mess, share the love, and shine your light bright, my friends.